Hi there, Happy New Year. It's been a little while since I recorded one of these because I have had lots and lots going on, and I figured since it's the start of a new year I should probably show you all my studio because I have tidied it up, which, let's face it, doesn't happen very often. And I can't show you it when it's an absolute tip, so I figured I would show you it now while it's nice and tidy. I've had a bit of a move around, so I've had to make things more accessible because I'm using my wheelchair more and more, and it is becoming problematic to get up and reach for glass and things. I did have the glass high up on a unit and it was just becoming a problem to get up and reach the glass. So I've moved it all around. I've moved everything around. So all my glass is now, whoops, which way is it? It's there behind me in that unit. And it's right behind where my torch is, so I can just spin around on my swivel chair and reach the glass as I need it, which is going to be lots better. So yeah, let's have a little look at the studio. So as you come into the studio, this is what you see. This is the part here that you're all familiar with, but what you might not realise is there's a whole other half of the studio behind, and I can't really show you much of that because that's where my partner works, and a lot of the stuff that he does is top secret. So this is the side that you're all familiar with though. So I have my kiln there's my torch, and then some glass and things, and then my junk corner, which I'm planning on sorting out one day. We will see. So if you've been here for a while, you might remember the haunted sideboard. I found it in a thrift store and fell in love with it and never really had a use for it, so it's just empty. But now it's got my glass in it, or on it, so I'm really happy. Well, most of my glass. This isn't all of the glass. This is just some of my glass, and I will show you where the rest of it is in a moment. So the glass is mostly arranged by colour, not completely, but mostly arranged by colour. And these are the colours that I tend to keep in stock all the time, but I do have other colours and some colours that are limited edition, so I only ever have a few rods at a time. And then rods that I've started to use just get put in these jars, so I try and use like every little scrap of glass that I have because it's getting so expensive. But yeah, this is where I keep all the odds and ends. So in here I have all sorts of glass. So I have things like these glass shards. So this is glass that I've blown and I use it for decoration on beads. I've got some borosilicate glass here that a friend very kindly sent to me. These are mostly Marini. So these are flower Marini. They're all canes that I've pulled. And each one is a different design of flower. And then this is really special. So I used to be a colour tester for a glass manufacturer, and every year they would send me their new colours to test. So most of these colours never went into production, or if they did, they were in really limited quantities. So this is my little stash of like special glass in colours that are no longer available. So here we are at my workbench. I'll give you a quick overview of everything and then we can chat in more detail about each thing. So I have my kiln here, which is obviously where I anneal my beads. My oxygen concentrator is underneath the workbench. And I like having it close by just so I can keep an eye on the flow of oxygen. I just find that's a really good way for me to work. I've got my torch. I think this thing is called a creation station. I think that's what it was called. But basically I can lift these up and I can rest my arms on these, like if I'm making, you know, like a really big bead, or where I need that little bit of precision and not shaky old hands. And I can rest my elbows on here as well while I work. Obviously we've got my torch, which has a Marva mounted to it, which I find really, really helpful. All my tools here, these are like, they're not all of my tools, but they're the ones that I reach for most often, so they just tend to live on my workbench. I keep glass rods here. I know a lot of people, they just leave their glass rods flat on the workbench, but I don't know, I've never done that. I don't like doing that. I just keep them on the rod rest. I use this little witch's cauldron to put the hot bits of glass in. So if I have a piece of glass that pings off while I'm working, or I need to take the end off of a rod, sometimes they get a bit scummy, so you have to melt the end and take it off. That goes in the witch's cauldron, which has a small amount of water in the bottom. What else do we have? Yeah, so I like a lot of decor in my studio. So I have a lot of fossils and crystals and artworks from various artists that I found on Instagram. All kinds of like witchy stuff is everywhere. I have some beads and marbles that are made by other glass artists that I really admire. This is just a glass cube of a glass from a particular client. I like to just keep it all separate. But yeah, this is my little workbench. So let's talk torches. This is my current torch that I'm using, but I didn't always have this torch. I spent the first 5 years bead making on one of these. Now this is, it's called a hothead torch, and you can attach it directly to a canister of gas, or you can do what I did and have a hose to a, you know, like a barbecue sized tank of propane. And lots of people get these torches and they're brilliant, they really, really are. But lots of people get these torches and then within a few months they want to upgrade to a bigger torch. And I completely understand why. They don't get very hot. It takes ages to encase things, and you can't make things, you know, very large. You can only make quite small things. But I spent 5 years on my hothead torch and I absolutely loved it, because I found that being restricted in such a way, it makes you learn more. So I was restricted in what I could do, and it really makes you slow down because the torch doesn't get hot. It forces you to work slower, and I learned so much on this torch. I've learned more on this torch in 5 years than I have done on this torch in 10 years, 11 years, however long it's been. But yeah, let's have a look at this torch. So my torch runs on propane and oxygen. The propane is what gives the bushy yellow flame, and then when you add oxygen to it, it gives that lovely hot blue flame that I use for working. And I get my oxygen from an oxygen concentrator machine. Now, some people use tanked oxygen, which I believe, you know, it has its pros as well as its cons, but for me it's not easy to source where I live, so I just find it better to use an oxygen machine. And mine is just a small 5 litre oxygen machine, and for me that works perfectly for what I need to do. So next let's have a look at my kiln. I've got a Paragon Bluebird kiln. I also have a smaller kiln that I used for years and years, and it was wonderful. It just wasn't big enough, so I upgraded to this this larger one, and this one is super fancy. It's got a really fancy touch screen control, so it programs and works just the same as my other kiln. The added bonus of this one is that it is Wi-Fi connected, so I can use an app on my phone so that I don't have to be in the studio all the time. I can set the kiln to ramp down and I can check on it using the app when I'm at home, which is super, super useful. but it's quite a nice big kiln for bead making. It has two big doors, and I can absolutely cram it full. I can work for 12 hours solid and still have room in there. So next I want to show you something that I have never shown before and probably never will show again, and that is the corner of doom. I have a whole corner that is just full of junk. It all needs sorting through. I have my old kiln down here. I have a desk that I can't even see because it is covered in tools and glass that needs to be put away. I have a wonderful bookcase that is just crammed with... Did you hear that? That was a pheasant outside. Anyway, I have this bookcase that is, I mean, it does have books on it, to be fair, but it also has a lot of other junk on it. Now the plan is to eventually tidy the corner of doom up and find homes for all of the stuff that is there. I think the first thing I need to do is find a home for all of the new glass that is currently dumped on the desk, because that's just shameful. But I'd like to clear it all up, find homes for everything, get rid of all the junk that I no longer need, and turn it into like a proper desk. At the minute, all of my editing work and computer work is just on my laptop, and I'd really like to find a way to hook like a proper monitor up, because when I'm working on my lap, it's causing me so much neck pain, like just sitting in the wrong position for hours, editing and, you know, doing other admin-y tasks. It's not good for me. So I want to get like a proper desk where I'm sat in the correct position. It's going to take the stress off of my shoulders and my neck, and just be a nice place to work. So I've been looking on YouTube, actually probably way too much, and I've seen loads and loads of videos of people's desk setups. So now I've got it into my head that I need this beautiful desk setup. So I think that's the next thing that I'm going to do in the studio. Well, apart from make beads, obviously, because I need to do that, but the next big thing I want to do is create a nice desk space, and hopefully have that up and running in the next couple of weeks. So while I'm at it, I should probably put all of this glass away in my storage cubes. The only problem is I don't think I've got room. Let's go and have a look. So I've moved all the glass over here. I've got a little pile here, I've got a little pile here, and some of it has room. So some of it is colours that I already have in here, so that's not a problem, but it's pretty full. There are a couple of spaces, but there are lots of new colours, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. So I think first of all I'm going to put away the colours that I already have space for, and then we'll figure the rest out in a minute. So my lovely partner Paul has come up with a very technical solution to this problem, which is a bit of cardboard that he has expertly crafted to fit perfectly in the little squares, and now I can get two different colours in. So I'm going to make a few of these and see if we can squeeze all of this new glass into the unit. So I got all of the glass put away. As you can see behind me, it's all tidy and organised. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. I thought it would only take me 10 minutes, but it's taken me like an hour and a half. It's dark outside now. It's gotten so late. So yeah, the studio is now tidy. I haven't managed to get any glass work done today, and that's okay, because I'm back in tomorrow for a full day of bead making. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this little very brief studio tour, and do let me know if you'd like to see more, because I'm happy to go into details about my equipment, or if you want to know specifics about the kind of glass that I use or my tools or anything, just let me know.